28,000 plus expected at Citi Field for the Hudson River Derby on Saturday. New York City winning back-to-back games for the first time since July of 2022. And remember last week, suggestions from supporters for that supporters porch. And today, it's suggestions from supporters for the Team Raccoon that will be traveling on the road with the New York City Football Club. That and much more. We're live on NYCFC Views.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah. I'm Glenn Crooks. There's Roberto Abramowitz. We've been your radio guys for the New York City Football Club since the first kick in 2015 in New York City. Everyone excited in the Big Apple. The Rangers clinching last night, moving to the East Finals. The Knicks, they can clinch tonight. They're up 3-2. They're in Philadelphia.
They're not.
We were close to, huh? I mean,
Indiana. No, they're not. They're in Indiana.
Okay, let me
but
keep
it's close
going.
Enough.
Let me keep going.
And you're on a roll.
The New York Red Bulls are in third place in the Eastern Conference, having one of their best starts in a long time. And the New York City Football Club just behind in fourth place, having won 5 of their last 6. So we're in great shape. And Roberto, I'm in a good mood tonight. I hope that you are as well. And
I am.
Let's have some fun this hour. Let's have some fun.
Absolutely. Let's go. What do you got?
Well, first of all, I think it's very important. All these days, all these hashtag days, I'm really not a hashtag day guy. I'm just not. I barely acknowledge Father's Day. It's okay. You want to acknowledge it? Go ahead. Today is National Endangered Species Day. And I want to point it out because of the importance of every species maintaining. And the bald eagle is the most recent one that's been saved just because of better habits. So, food chain. Any animal on this planet that goes extinct, it affects other animals, it affects humans, it affects the food that we eat. And so it's a really important consideration. So I want people to understand that. And I looked at this one area and it said, here's a way that you can help animals right from home. But one of them is just go out for a nature walk. Now, I understand that that's not particularly easy in mid-Manhattan, but you do have, the park. Actually, how many parks when the park kick came out? There's 171 parks.
We have lots of parks, including Central Park and then Riverside Park. And now, actually, you can walk around all of Manhattan. So there's a park that surrounds Manhattan all the way up and all the way down, east and west, north and south.
So it's a good nature walk. Now I know most of you from
32 miles of going around. I believe that's the figure.
I know some of you from New York don't choose to want to come to Jersey, but if you go to Northwest Jersey, which let's just say you're in at Roberto's house where he lives, it's about hour and 20-minute drive. And you'll see forms of nature, birds and other, but especially the birds. It's very cool. I just wanted to make that point that people should get out, check out nature, and then understand that, like the rhinoceros is on the extinct list, which I think that's terrible. And they play a vital role overall in the process. Okay, so just
without a doubt. I will not make any sarcastic comments.
The other thing is, it's always a good day when my National Geographic arrives. And the first story is the science of stress, how stress affects our bodies and what we can do about it. Well, a couple of months ago, I suggested to Roberto Abramowitz what he could do about stress. Yes. And it's called a cold plunge, which in terms of if you don't have a big tub to jump into filled with ice, you just take a really hot shower, and the last 60 to 90 seconds of your shower, you turn it all the way to the cold which I have done every day I've showered since mid-February. Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and victory. So, Roberto, I just thought I'd share that again with you because I'm not sure.
No, that's fine. I mean, the fact that you shared it 3 days after my heart attack and you thought I should do it right then and there, I thought that was just a little bit odd timing. But, well, to each his own.
Well, Matty Lawrence has done it since too, and he says it's changing his.
Yes, he's about 20 years younger than me. Actually, let me see. No, it's 17. Now that I know his age, it's 17.
Yeah, Matty, you had the big 50 coming up. We're going to LA and Nashville, so there's celebrations going on all over the country.
Yes,
for Matty Lawrence. So before we get to all the game, the raccoon, all this other stuff, MLS disciplinary committee came out with a few more decisions from this Toronto, New York City melee post game. We've heard the original ones. For New York City, there's only one individual, Strahinja Tanasiewicz, who was suspended for the last game, and they've added a second game, which I tweeted out earlier. And so that will be the derby. So Tanasiewicz will not be available for the derby on Saturday, tomorrow, as we're doing this live. And then,
by the way, Tanasiewicz is being suspended because he has turned himself into the New York City policeman. Because every time, I mean, when we go back to the first game in March against Toronto, and Nick Cushing and Insigne were going at it, Tanasiewicz made a beeline to get between them and to make sure that nothing happened. And the same thing happened this time in Toronto when Nick Cushing was being accosted. He again went in to go and protect his coach, and then it got out of hand.
Yeah, that first time, he'd only been with the club for just a short amount of time, too. It wasn't so he probably endeared himself to his comrades.
It reminded me very much, as we're in the NHL playoffs, of what NHL enforcers do. That you always have somebody on the team that's there to protect everybody else. So with the Rangers, it's somebody, even though he just recently came up, somebody like Matt Rempe. You've got Trouba as well, who does that for the Rangers. But Matt Rempe is specifically is that sort of a guy. And Tanasiewicz, in very little time, has established himself as somebody who is going to come to your aid.
All right. Also, Toronto FC defender Richie Larea, not in the squad on May the 11th, Saturday. He will serve 2 matches. I had originally heard 3. But
there's one that's the one that's right. It is 3, but the thing is that one has already been served because Toronto played yesterday, I believe.
No, that's a recommendation, and I think Toronto can appeal. My guess, it's not in here. My guess is that the recommendation was 3, which included, the Wednesday games. So that'd be 1, 2, and then one more, and maybe Toronto appealed and it was lowered to 2. But here's what Owusu's not mentioned because I had heard or learned that he was going to get an additional game, and the reason being Owusu, and this is factual, okay? I don't know what you think if MLS never points this out publicly, but Owusu and Larea both made physical contact with Nick Cushing, in addition to John Herdman, after that game. It wasn't publicized. It wasn't really seen clearly on the camera angles that we originally got. But that's a fact, and I'm calling it a fact because I've seen it, and it'll be interesting to see if MLS fesses up. And I do know that this Herdman claim after the game, punching in the face from the March 16th, Cushing against his 19-year-old, I know that the club is asking MLS to review that entire thing just to, to exonerate Nick Cushing, who right now is... has been alleged to have done something that is a fireable.
He says he did not do.
Yeah, and that, as far as we know, did not do. He denies it, and has done that multiple times, and there's no evidence of it. So we'll see. We shall see.
Absolutely. And by the way, in the latest game, as Nick is going towards the locker room after the victory, he has his hands in his pocket, and John Herdman comes and bumps into him. And then, we had the other incident. He never took his hands out of his pocket. So when Toronto goes and, claims that they're victims in all of this, the league has definitely shown that, based on the number of suspensions and the number of the players affected, the league didn't think so.
And just as one more point here for Toronto, it's pretty interesting. So both Toronto and New York City are also going to get hit with mass confrontation, which that's pretty obvious. But I mean, that's a fact, which again, still has not been publicized. And both head coaches are going to get fined. But, and I wasn't aware of this, for Toronto, it's their second mass confrontation of the season. So, they're throwing a lot of the stuff New York City's way, but they've also had an incident prior to this. So they're getting fined. Both the team and the coach are getting fined more heavily because of the second violation.
So let me ask you this. When the game ended yesterday, what was the first thing you did?
What yesterday when? You mean the
Wednesday? Sorry, I got my days confused. When the game ended Wednesday, the first thing that I did, was look at Jim Curtin and Nick Cushing. And Jim Curtin came all the way over to the New York side, went over, gave him a firm handshake, pat on the back, and then went and said, congratulations to everybody else on the bench for New York City.
Yeah. And Nick leaned into Jim, and I was going to ask him today what he might have said, but that's a private moment. But he leaned into Jim and said something to him as well. There's a lot of respect there. They've played in-season friendlies during international breaks, things like that. They've got a relationship, and if they didn't have a relationship, there's no way Andres Perea would be a member of the New York City Football Club. So
exactly,
and doing his thing. Okay. Let's get to the there's one kind of, I thought this was funny, and I did tweet this out because I saw this picture and I thought, wow, while both teams are getting ready to rumble, there's Tyrese Spicer and Malachi Jones just exchanging jerseys, getting a photo, and in the background there's Prince Owusu wearing the 99. He's ready to lay into somebody, and and it was just but the quote from Spicer was like, I was just with my friend Malachi taking pictures.
I mean, they were both on the same team and they went up against each other. That was fun.
That was lovely.
Yeah, you love to see that stuff.
They're both lovely young men. Spicer is a Trinidad and Tobago, and he also came from a fairly underprivileged background, like Malachi. So two guys who have fought their way through and getting a chance to play against each other. So that was very cool. All right, the game. So here, statistically, Roberto, the last time New York City won back-to-back road games, July 13th, July 17th, at FC Dallas, at Red Bull New York. Interestingly, both 1-0 scores. Evers scored at the Dallas game. Castellanos scored at Red Bull Arena. And
that was his last goal.
2000
New York City.
Interesting. And just to look ahead, I know we could present this next week, but we're on the topic. Do you know the last time New York City won 3 straight road games, Roberto?
Ooh, now you got me. I didn't look that far ahead. I didn't look that far ahead.
You could cheat and look at the text I sent you a couple of days ago. But
well, yeah, but So I like to let you do these things, so go right ahead.
So not including the playoff run in 21, there were 3 consecutive wins, but 2 of them were ties to advance or win the MLS Cup. So I'm not calling those straight out victories, okay?
Okay.
So the last time they've done it with wins and in the regular season was 2019. April 21st at DC United, May 4th at Montreal, May 11th at the LA Galaxy. Goals were scored in all those games by Matriza, Eber, Maxi Morales, Tajuri Shradi, and how about that? So that's I like looking back and seeing who scored goals in some of these games. You forget, right? I mean, we've done all these games, but you forget
exactly. I like looking back to see what the team has done in its last 6 games, and that's win 5 games. That's not a bad. That's not a bad little trip down memory lane.
And this hasn't happened in a while. A minute and 51 seconds into the game in Chester, Pennsylvania, Roberto was able to call this. I was too, but we're going to go with Roberto's. Here it is.
Atrás el balón. y le termina llegando a Leon Flack, pero se tardó demasiado y New York City la gana. Perea, oh, lindo balón, aquí para Santi Rodríguez, se mete por el lado derecho, viene el centro, remate, ¡gol! Es Alonso Martínez en el contragolpe. New York City madruga Filadelfia apenas en el segundo minuto. 1-0 New York City.
Ataque letal, contraataque letal. Iniciado por Perea en la mitad de la cancha. Lo ve muy bien a Santi Rodríguez por la banda derecha. Lanza el pase en profundidad. Y Santi hizo lo que tiene que hacer. Lanzar el centro pasado para el ingreso del delantero costarricense, que otra vez anota Alonso Martínez para New York City. Está en buen papel Martínez, le ponen las cosas todavía más complicadas a Bacrar.
I like playing the Spanish clips because I feel like I'm learning the language a little bit. Ataque letal.
You got that one.
Well, he said that twice. He said it twice right off his first. So what does that mean?
Lethal attack.
Lethal attack. Okay.
Very good. That's what I say. You know that. You know what was fun about re-listening to that was the fact that it was almost like a ho-hum moment in the game. Then New York wins the ball, and then you can just see all of it. You know, you just all of a sudden realize this is going to be an exciting moment. You see the Perea pass to Santi, and you see all of a sudden, wow, okay, this looks really good. And just getting excited in that moment as you see that pass, and then you sort of anticipate that this might be a really good scoring opportunity. And then Santi with that beautiful cross, and Martinez doing what he does, which is if you give him a good chance anywhere, he's going to put it on frame and most likely score. And he's got 3 goals, and he's got the only 2 center forward goals for New York City so far this season.
There's one thing in training I've done with my teams over the years, especially in the latter years. You know, what I love about coaching, Roberto, is that you and I've talked to Nick about this. All the coaches that I interview, I talk a lot about this. Is that you watch a game and you see something happen in the game, and then you go like, okay, how can I construct something in training to mimic what I just saw? That pass by Santi Rodriguez is impossible to defend. Impossible to defend. So when you're running patterns in training, if you can bend a little ball, and we always called it behind the defense and in front of the keeper. So if you're getting it behind the defense and you're eliminating the keeper, you've got Martinez running towards goal while the defender is facing the wrong direction. And it's just, as long as you could get that on frame, and it was a great finish, he buried it, man. He buried it, and which he should have. And if he had missed it, you know, we would have been critical of that. But it was just, I love those goals almost more than any. Behind the defense, in front of the keeper, and then the tap in. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a seeing eye pass, and it goes to show, you know, how Santi Rodriguez has grown, okay, for New York City. And, you know, one of the criticisms that I have heard of Nick, okay, especially when things weren't going very well, was who has he made better, right? And I'll disagree with that statement every day, all day. Okay. And if you start looking at how Santi Rodriguez especially is playing and where he was and where he is now and what he's doing, that's growth. That's great growth, because he's really pulling the strings for New York City and making everybody around him better. And so kudos to Nick, kudos to Santi, you know, for taking his game to the next level. Also, Santi got a yellow card yesterday or Wednesday. And I was looking and I was like, because I remember Santi getting a lot of yellow cards. And most of the time he gets yellow cards for his mouth. And he got one because of his mouth again.
Yes, he did.
And I went and I looked and I was like, wait, that's only his second yellow card of the season. He's cut that down considerably. He understands that that's the reason why he gets his yellow cards. And he's been much, much better about keeping his mouth shut and not arguing as much. But I remember also that the reason he got the yellow card, that he felt really that there was a hard foul on him that deserved a yellow card, and that nothing was done. And he felt upset about that, and he continued,
All right.
to let the referee know for a long time until he got tired of it.
Yep. His best pass of the night, Alonso Martinez in an offside position. I thought he split the defense. It was about 35 yards on the deck, perfect pace, but Martinez was in an offside position. Okay.
Yeah.
So right before the half, Hannes Wolf, he gets his first goal for New York City FC. Now, it's off of this free kick. He and Santi are over the ball. Very severe angle to the right. We're not going to do the call on this. We're going to do my question to Nick Cushing, and it's pretty funny, the response. But, of course, I was asking him, was it a cross or was it a shot? And here's what Nick said.
Service, is it a shot? Nobody really cares right now, I understand, but I just wonder.
I asked him in front of the team yesterday post-match we do a recap, and I put it in the recap last and asked, shot or cross, and he said shot in front of the team. And the team actually erupted in laughter. I don't think the team believe it was a shot. But he said shot. He said he saw the keeper was edging and he felt that he had an opportunity. So,
opportune moment to get his first New York City goal. I don't know if you've seen the recent photo from the club that they put up online of Hannes Wolf. He's like the surging, attacking dribble forward. It's a tight shot of him. And he's smiling. I mean, does he smile while he plays? Have you noticed this before?
I think he smiles when he creates goals and scores them. I think I actually love working with Hannes because, this guy has come from one of the top 5 leagues in the world. He has an incredible physical ability. He has huge potential to be a real impact player for us. And when it didn't happen at the start of the year, you could see the frustration and the real desire in his training and in his demeanor. So I had full confidence it was going to come because when you have such a desire and a drive like that, it's round the corner, right? And for him to get the 2 assists in Toronto, I really feel like it was a pivotal moment. Then to get the goal, and now he's just got to continue it.
Yeah, so honestly, it's almost like Hannes Wolf is a recent acquisition. I know he's played a lot of minutes, but he is now performing at a different level.
Yeah.
Santi Rodriguez is performing at a DP level. James Sands and Keaton Parks in the midfield together has been phenomenal. Matt Freese, you could claim he's the best keeper in the league based on his performances this year.
Yes, he is.
Thiago Martins and Burke Risa, that's a very, very solid central defending position. The only thing lacking is that consistent goal scoring up top. And now that Martinez has made something of it, we know that Monsef Bakrar will get more chances, and then Jovan Mijatovic at some point is going to have to get a shot. So,
yeah.
And Nick,
and don't forget Andres Perea too, coming off the bench. Remember, he was hurt for most of preseason, so he's starting to get into rhythm, and he got a chance to play, and I mean he did it. He played very, very well. Got that really important goal. So in Toronto, I mean, there's a lot of things coming together. So here's one of the things.
Just for Perea, back-to-back fantastic games. So now you have 3 midfielders playing well. That's huge because that's a position, as we pointed out with James Sands, a decent chance that he didn't play or wasn't in the squad in Chester, Pennsylvania, because as you've pointed out to me before the game, that he was on a yellow card suspension. So the likelihood is you want him playing against the Red Bulls.
Absolutely.
So you can insert Perea. So that's a position that gets a lot of yellows. It just is. So you need 3 quality. I believe 3 quality midfielders is pretty important. Go ahead.
Without a doubt. And then Justin Hack came in and did a really, really good job. He hasn't had much of an opportunity this year, but he came in and he helped close down that game. Now, Philadelphia is going through a really bad patch, right? They've lost 4 home games in a row. It's never happened to them in their history. So, coming in, they'd lost 3, obviously, doing the math. And you think, well, at some point, it's got to end. And you look at them and you look at the game, okay? And to be fair, they had a real good chance to tie the game and possibly even to win the game. New York City also missed a ton of chances too, but Philadelphia missed a ton of chances in this game.
Well, Carranza was in front of the goal 3 times in front of the goal, and he didn't get any of them on target.
Yeah, I know. And so New York City was a little bit lucky, but you need that. And this happens to the good teams, it happens to the bad teams. Yep. Sometimes luck goes your way and sometimes it doesn't go your way. Right now it's not going Philadelphia's way, it's going New York's way. And hey, Now we've got a nice derby game against the Red Bulls in Citi Field, and that's going to be cool.
And Roberto, I thought this was the save of the match. And I think, if you look at it, you go like, okay, it was a pretty good save. But because of, well, let's look at it first. And I called it along with Sal. I say Sal's name, but I don't give him a chance to speak on this clip. But anyway, New York City's got the lead here. I believe it was 1-0 at the time. And then Kai Wagner had a chance. But here you go.
36 minute, overlapping Hariel. He gets it. First time service, first time shot, kick save at Freeze, and a beauty. It's hockey playoff time, and Freeze, he was caught leaning to his right and got his left leg out, Sal, and that was a tremendous save. One of the many that we've seen from Freeze. He's third in the league in saves, and many of them have been just absolutely brilliant, and that was one of them.
Yeah, just stuck out the left leg, and he's got a long body, which is certainly helpful in goal, especially in that instance. But that's a tough technique, moving in one direction and then getting that leg out there at the proper moment to save it. So, I mean, to me, that's just another example of his value.
Without a doubt. I mean, as you called it, and I thought the same thing. That's a hockey save. It's exactly what he did. He stuck the left leg out there and saved a goal. And he's been playing fantastically. I think it was Tom Bogert today put out a stat. It was either today or yesterday. I saw it today about Matt Freeze, that he is like 4 goals ahead of what is G. I mean, I don't understand all this XG stuff and how to do it.
Yeah, he's given up 4 fewer goals than were expected to be scored on him. Yeah, and it's an impressive stat. And the Hockey Reference, just very briefly, you and I both grew up listening to Marv Albert call Ranger games on the radio.
Yes,
the home games in particular were not on TV because they were blacked out. And his standard phrase, Eddie Jacquemin, kick, save, and a beauty. Yes. And it just kind of blurted out. I love Marv, and I'm glad that I was able to elicit some Marv Albert almost accidentally for that Freeze save. Okay, so in the first half, they said – MLS came out and said it was 161 seconds. Well, I don't know about you and Ariel if you timed it, but Sal and I talked for 4 minutes while this thing was happening. That is the raccoon on the field. So I asked Nick Cushing about it today. You have to talk about it a little bit. So I wondered what the coach thought.
Without a doubt.
Because he was trying to, keep. Well, let's just see. Here's Nick on Raquinho.
Seen everywhere, the late night shows. I mean, it's pretty crazy. It was amusing to a point, but there was also a point where I saw you trying to make sure that your players were ready when the whistle sounded again.
Yeah, I think it was, even in the moment, I was laughing in the moment. Is a moment where you just go crazy. The raccoon, it actually ran across the back of the dugout. I don't know if the cameras caught this. It ran through the crowd across the back of the players.
They did see, yeah,
and
a
then
little
it came round, and then it came onto the field, and
it was following it pretty closely. I mean, the whole track.
We spoke about it all the way through the training facility. Actually, I don't mind revealing this, but we now have adopted we've bought a big fluffy raccoon that we're going to take on the road with us everywhere. It's now our team's mascot. So we haven't actually named it yet, but it's going to, the players and the staff have adopted it, and it's now become part of the team, and it's going to come everywhere with us.
Maybe like they're doing with the stadium supporters section, they've put out a tweet to get suggestions from the supporters. Maybe you could get suggestions from the supporters about the raccoon.
Yeah, maybe they could name it for us. So,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, name it.
Of course, I don't mind that.
All right, so the supporters, Rocky Raccoon, Rocket. There's
you
Rocket
won't know
again.
where Rocket is from, by the way. I almost guarantee that you won't know where Rocket comes from.
Rocky Raccoon. Name it, Bruce.
Rocket. What Rocket comes from?
I don't know.
I know that. So here, let me, for those of you who are in Glenn's,
of course, Rocky in Philadelphia, and I like.
Yes, Rocky is in Philadelphia, but Rocket is one of the main characters in Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, forget it. No, I say no. X, boop, up, no.
No, yes, absolutely, yes. I love Rocket. Rocket's one of my favorite characters.
We need to know and I don't know if you know this because I know you got some big scoop. This was my breaking news, by the way, in the afternoon. Now you'll have some breaking news about the actual raccoon. But
yes,
the New York City is traveling with a raccoon and
That's
they want to
great.
name it. So people funnel it in, man. A lot of people have responded on Twitter. Andre, that's one that was suggested. I like to, if it's a female. So since it's in Philadelphia, it was in Chester, but Philadelphia, Rocky, you understand, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, and then somebody. But if it's a female raccoon, then you go Adrian. I like that. Right?
But Adrian was a guy.
Huh?
Adrian was a guy.
No, that was his girlfriend or something, isn't it? Adrian.
No, Adrian was his. If I get this correct, and people can write us right now and let me know. If I remember, Adrian was his trainer.
I don't think so. Adrian, calling upstairs or what? I'm not a Rocky expert.
I thought it was his trainer. Maybe you're right.
I'm not a Rocky expert. But I like that. I like the fact, Rocky.
Somebody correct us.
Yeah. Anyway,
or me.
Some people.
So here's my breaking news.
Just call him Ricchino. Somebody said Tyson, Ricky Ricchino, and then I liked our friend from overseas, UK NYCFC. He said Rocky because it was in Philly and because the coach struck a Rocky pose, and they got a picture of Cushing, towards the supporters. But anyway, arms extended and in victory. But go ahead. What's the news on the raccoon?
Okay, so as we saw, they chased the raccoon around the stadium a couple of different times. One guy came out with a pail, and he was not in great physical shape. And he tried to run it down, and it was just like no contest whatsoever. I mean, just the space that was opened up between the raccoon and this guy trying to chase it was absurd. And then finally he came around like one or two times, and then they were finally able to trap him with a garbage can and putting it on top of him, although they did whack him in the head, but thankfully not hard. Okay, so I spoke
Where's the animal protection? Where's the Humane Society here?
Well, I mean, that was about as humane as you're going to be able to do that. Anyway, so I spoke with or texted with Jonathan Tannenwald, who covers everything Philadelphia soccer. And he's a great read, and subscribe to Philly.com or the Inquirer. And I asked him about it. And I said, hey there, very important question. What happened to the raccoon? And he said, as in literally? And I was like, yes. And the news is he was released to a nature preserve by a pest control company that sponsors the union. So there you are. He is safe and sound and in nature. He will be no longer anywhere near Subaru Park. And
not the most
and Subaru as a company is very like pro animals and things like that. So it all worked out very, very nicely. And nice. Now the raccoon can go back to nature and live a normal, natural life.
And that's a perfect story here on National Endangered Species Day.
Exactly. There you go.
Yep.
You didn't know I was gonna close that for you. I was gonna bookend that for you.
No. You put out a tweet that the New York Post covered it, and I think let's see what your line is here. Finally, a New York City local newspaper covers it because there's a raccoon. By the way, that's not a particularly attractive raccoon. I don't know what's going on in the Chester, Philadelphia area with their raccoons.
Now, all of a sudden, you're judging raccoons if they're cute or not?
Well, I like around here we have raccoons, but they're dark. You can really see the banded face more clearly. I don't want to go near it, and I don't want to get bit by one. But I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, because a lot of them carry rabies, so you gotta be very, very careful. Now, the funny thing is that after I put this tweet out, all right, and the next day they had another story on New York City and the stadium, the New York Post. And so, if you go to the Post, you're going to get a story about the game and the raccoon, and then you're also going to get a story about the stadium and how it's being received by the fans and everything. And also, if you go to the New York Post SNY, video channel that they have, I did an interview previewing the game with Brandon London today. So I've shared it on my my channel. Glenn has retweeted it, and it's on the New York Post Sports and on Brandon London's channel as well.
Did you retweet my conversation with Matt Harmon, the New York Red Bulls radio guy?
I have not seen that yet, but I will when I do see it. I basically retweet everything of yours. So
I know you're good. So we both talked to different entities today, which is wonderful because we're spreading the good word of the Hudson River Derby. Before we leave this Philadelphia game, I would like you to confirm this, Roberto, because you said you've gone back and forth with Kevin O'Toole about the Knicks. Is this a Jalen Brunson signal here post game?
Yes, 100%.
All right, that's Kevin O'Toole, Knicks fan extraordinaire. And that's what our man Brunson, who, by the way, tonight at 8:30 in Indianapolis. Sorry about that. It's New York Knicks at Indiana. They can clinch. They're up 3-2. And so we're calling this really the NYCFC Views Knicks pregame show. And you get to talk some soccer here, and then all of a sudden we're going to run upstairs.
The three guys from Villanova are really, really special. To watch this Knick team and the way that they play and the way that they've responded under Thibodeau has just been absolutely wonderful, because you got a team that has basically lost 4 of their main players. And remember, you keep 5 on the court at all times, and you have a rotation of 8, and you lost your 4 of your main ones, and it's nuts. And they continue to play well and do the things that they're doing. And Jalen Brunson is out of his mind, and the same thing with Josh Hart, and to say nothing of Dante DiVincenzo. Villanova guys and they've done fantastic. Jay Wright, good for you.
Yep, Jay Wright. Villanova, unfortunate, but that's okay. I'm
guessing you've had some unfortunate run-ins when you were with Rutgers.
Unfortunate. When you coach at Rutgers, you're not a Villanova fan, okay? That's just the way it goes.
Because you're getting your butt beaten every time.
I do not root for Villanova in any sport. How's that? So, but DiVincenzo, very interesting story. And Jay Wright was involved in a recent little story where he talked about how when he was recruiting DiVincenzo, he had learned that he was a tremendous soccer player. And so there's a lot of soccer in the background of DiVincenzo. And every now and then, if you catch him in pregame warmups, he's juggling the basketball with his feet. So,
and I believe you told me this story, but DiVincenzo, when he went to high school, he went there to play soccer. And then, he picked up, what was that?
Well,
right. It was in high school that he went there to play soccer.
Yeah, he went to
and then he picked up basketball.
Yeah,
pissed off his dad because his dad, wanted him to play soccer. And he picked up basketball. Turned out pretty good. He's doing fine, by the way. I think his dad might have forgiven him, considering all the millions that he's making, and doing very, very well for himself, and just loved everywhere. All 3 of those guys are, and they've earned it.
Well, it's great what's happening in New York sports right now. And Nick referenced it. And I remember Jim Curtin, when the Union were doing so well, getting to the Cup final, and the Flyers and the 76ers. And there were such great things going on the Eagles were having a great year. I don't remember the whole scene, but, Curtin really absorbed all that. And Nick Cushing today, when you talk to him, he was too. His kids are watching, especially the Knicks. So he's been caught in that anyway. You're watching a lot of soccer games, of course. We all are. But what's happening with the Knicks and the Rangers is just
it's fantastic. It's must-see TV.
It is. It is. All right, let's kick it around, man. Well, one of the strikers in our friendly Major League Soccer who just can't score goals, although we had one. Now, we know Monset Bakar is still looking for his first of the year, but Enzo Capetti, gone from Charlotte. And he's with Club Atlético Rosario Central. That's his new
Central, we say.
Okay. And
it should be, but yeah, Central is fine.
So he was a DP. Yeah. So now a DP spot opens up for Charlotte. So when this summer transfer window comes upon us, it'll be interesting to see what kind of moves they make. And I would imagine they would gun for a goal scorer, because they're defending well, but still not scoring enough. First coach
9 matches, 1 goal, 1 assist this year. Last year he played much better. He had 29 games, 7 goals, and an assist. So
he's been
so he went to Rosario Central. That's interesting, because he came to Charlotte from Racing, where in his last year at Racing in 2022, he had 21 goals, 5 assists in 47 games. He started his career in Atlético Rafaela down in Argentina, which is
I don't care.
but very small club. Come on, man. You got you
I
got
don't
to
care.
know about these things.
I brought it up from the kind of the Baccarat weaving it in. Capetti, he's gone. Come on,
Yeah.
Steph, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get one. Sorry. We do have a time crunch here, so I don't care about Enzo Capetti's
We've
career.
got 20 minutes to go.
All right, whatever. The first, and this is not a laughing matter. Gary Smith got the axe at Nashville, and for the first time since 2018, no MLS team has changed its manager within the first 11 games until this morning when Gary Smith was sacked. And last season, 8 managers were fired, Roberto, and by the end of the 15th game, 5 had been sacked. That's per The Athletic. Reading The Athletic this morning. And so things are different this year. There were some coaches on the hot seat, shall we say. I guess Nick Cushing was one of them, and Josh Wolf in Austin. Certainly Caleb Porter in New England, but Gary Smith is the first to go. While obviously Nick Cushing and New York City have recovered from a sluggish start, as has Austin FC. New York City's playing in Austin down the road a little bit. So
it's weird for me that I don't know what's going on down there with that team. I'm not following it every day, so I don't know, the internal conversations and everything. But Nashville, just looking at it from the outside, right? So they've only played 12 games. You have most teams have played 13, or in some cases 14. They're in 10th place right now. 3 wins, 4 losses, 5 ties. 16 scored, 19 received for -3, 14 points, actually tied with Philadelphia, but their goal difference, there's a 4 goal difference, and because they're tied in wins. I know wins is the first tiebreaker.
There's a lot of stuff out there, and I can't remember where I saw this, but if you look at the attacking analytics, I think it was finally decided. Mike Jacobs is the general manager. He had to make the difficult decision. He had brought him in, so that the attacking analytics for Nashville they're very, very low within the context of MLS. They're dismal, in fact. Yeah. So I think the team has always been pretty secure defensively. In what you just read, 16 goals for, 19 against. So it's just not going well, and it's time. And it's too bad because the guy, first 4 seasons. He was there from the outset. They made the playoffs every year.
And they made, what was it, the semifinals of League's Cup, losing to Miami.
Yeah.
Who then eventually lost to Houston. No, that was in, I take that US back. Open they won Cup? That. Right. They lost to Houston. Miami lost to Houston in the U.S. Open Cup. There are too many tournaments. Getting myself confused.
U.S. Open Cup. I don't regard that anymore. I don't regard it anymore, except when MLS next 2 side New York City FC 2. How about it? Next Tuesday at Belson, they're going to have another game against Real Salt Lake. How great is that going to be? That is going to be awesome. What else do I have here? The MLSPA salary guide. That's always I would imagine it's cringeworthy for, I don't know, everybody that's in I don't know. If I were a coach, general manager, even a teammate, I don't want everybody knowing my salary, but
good. I want everybody to know the salaries. I do. And I should do this right. You know why? Because this is entertainment. And as long as it's entertainment and it gives you stuff to talk about, you talk about it because it's entertaining. Look, none of us can aspire at some of the numbers that are there in any sport. But every sport now pretty much reports what everybody is making because of the salary cap, and there's got to be transparency. So MLS does the same thing. Fine. Good for them. I like it. It gets people talking. A lot of people were talking about it. Hell, we're talking about it.
No, I look forward to it. I do look forward.
All right. So it's not cringeworthy.
So no, I said for coaches and players and administrators. That's not for me. I'm saying the people within the framework that have to kind of deal with it. Now, these are professional athletes. They should be able to handle it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, I'm only going to equate it to coaching at the collegiate level in a scholarship program where kids would compare their scholarships. And I can't tell you how many people walked into my office at the end of the year and I had a better year than so-and-so. And she makes more money than me. I said, listen, it's not a salary, man. It's a scholarship. And, keep doing well and I'll see if I can help you down the road. But it's not like a professional contract, so, but
it comes with the territory, Glenn. Comes with the territory.
So from a New York City standpoint, Hannes Wolf makes $1.5 million. So he's on a good wage. So I'm glad he's taken a step forward with his game. Wonderful guy. I was hoping to talk to him today. I have a interview set up with him next week. It'll be akin to the Matt Freese, Malachi Jones, real featurey. Really want to find out more about this guy because in our interactions, both of us have chatted with him. He's a really nice person.
Yeah.
So just would like to, and he's had had a horrible leg injury in 2019, which took him a long time to recover from. And just want to review some things with him. But so he's on a pretty good wage, as is Thiago Martins, DP. He's making over $2 million again. We saw Maxi Morales. He's on a 1-year deal. You always wonder about Maxi, but you see that he took a rather large pay cut to come back. And then some young men like Tavon Gray and Keaton Parks got some outstanding boosts to their salary. But look, the thing is, if anybody looks at these salaries, it goes like, oh, he doesn't, or are you kidding? It's like, get what you can, man, while you can.
Absolutely.
and then perform. It's your obligation to perform.
Get as much as you can and earn it.
Yep.
I have no problem with that. Zero problem with that.
I love these kinds of things. Lionel Messi, so he's getting $20 million guaranteed.
He's got a lot more than that.
Well, that's more than the entire payrolls of all but 3 teams. The 3 teams, not going very well for 2 of them. Toronto FC, Chicago.
They can't get it right. It's amazing.
That guy Kuipers makes over more than Shaqiri. Anyway, and Nashville also has a massive wage bill. But as it's been pointed out, it's not complete transparency because what's also involved here is transfer fees, which are not included in any of these salary figures. So.
But it does affect the salary cap, which it shouldn't, because this encourages you. If it doesn't, it encourages you to go out and buy better players. But if you have to buy players, and then that part also figures into the salary cap, and then it just makes it harder. So
is that changing? MLS. Is that changing in these new budget rules that are being going into effect? I haven't.
I don't know if that does. I mean, I really hope that it does because it's going to help teams buy better players. And if you want to compete in Champions Cup and have a better chance of winning it, I mean, bless the Columbus Crew that they don't spend anywhere near what any of the Mexican teams that they've beaten along the way have spent, and they're in the final, but. The facts are that if you allow everybody to spend the same amount of money that the top Mexican teams can spend, you probably have a better chance at doing well. Of course, we've seen Toronto, in the last couple of years have some of the most outrageous wage bills and just basically be horrible. So it doesn't guarantee anything, but it should give you a better chance.
Not at all. And, Jovan Mijatovic, I think he was at $650K. I was very curious about him.
For an 18-year-old.
Ojeda.
My son. It's like 17. What are you doing? What are you doing for me?
Get in the backyard and start
making 600,000. You're laying on the couch waiting for the Knicks. What are you doing?
Get in the backyard and do some wall ball, boy. So as you know, Roberto, English radio, and tomorrow it'll be the case. If you're watching the game on Apple TV, you can use the Apple app feature on MLS Season Pass to listen to the English hometown commentary, which I certainly hope everybody will do with myself and Maddie for tomorrow's game. And then you sent this to me, a guy named Adam Sussman. I don't know Adam. He's a Timbers radio host, Portland. And there was a hot mic. So what happens is, at halftime, when we're doing our commentary, at some point at halftime, they switch the English hometown radio audio off and they go to their regular halftime show. Well, apparently the radio host came on for halftime for the Timbers, and it hadn't been transferred over yet. And Portland was trailing, San Jose?
2-0 at that point.
2-0,
Yeah.
and it was really just poor. The radio host said, Adam Sussman, you want to come coach this team? It can't be any worse. And he was just saying that to one of his, guys, and it turned out it went out over the air. So he put, which I didn't think he put out an apologetic tweet. I just don't do that. Just apologize to Phil Neville and said, look, I was emotional about it. I'm a fan, that, and just, it's still going to be tough. But anyway, beware the hot mic. I mean, right?
I know. I know.
Beware the hot mic. Josh, what was it? Josh Hart going over to tell Reggie,
Reggie Miller. He was explaining what the Garden was chanting at him, just in case he didn't understand what the chants were, and that was in good fun.
In 2019, we talked about this last time. New York City won 3 games in a row on the road. Remember who the coach was? Dome Torrent.
Mm-hmm.
Dome's got a new job.
Yes, he does.
He's at Atletico San Luis, who have played against New York City. I don't know if you recall, Roberto, New York City in 2018 went there during preseason and played a friendly.
I recall.
Yeah. And
not only that, you recall this, that the star of that game, who the star of the game became?
Oh, Justin Hack because of his hair?
Justin Hack, because everybody kept on comparing him to Cavani.
Come on, they were
because they had the same hairstyle. 18-year-old, I think he was like 18 at the time, and everybody kept on calling him Cavani, and it was great.
He loved it. Oh, that's a great memory. That is a great
Atletico
memory.
San Luis this year had a really poor season, so they divide every year into 2 seasons in Mexico, Apertura y Clausura. So in the one that just ended, they were very poor. They didn't make the playoffs. In the one previous, they were like top 2 or top 3, made the playoffs and had a little bit of a run. And then all of a sudden this year, they were terrible. And so they fired their coach. I mean, it's just horrible in Mexico.
Yeah, they're currently.
Wait till Dome gets a hold of that. He has no idea what he's in for.
Dome must be, he's a glutton for the punishment.
So
he went to Flamengo first, and I think he got run out of town there. And just a tough spot. And I like Dome, and I still say to this day, the best football that New York City has played was the 2019 season. They won the Eastern Conference regular season. Matarrita took down Lorea for a late penalty in the playoffs, and that ended the season. That turned out to be Dome's last game. Then he goes to Galatasaray, which is a nut. That place is they are the nuttiest people maybe in all of soccer. So he goes there. Now he's going to go to Mexico and San Luis. It's
a small city. It's a small team within Mexico. I think Atletico Madrid still owns a little bit of them. They used to own, I think, a bigger piece, which is why they changed their name to Atletico San Luis. And they basically, one of their uniforms is pretty much the Atletico Madrid colors. So they've got that. But I don't know. I look, coaching in Mexico is a nightmare. It just really, really is. You've got to be a glutton for punishment to go over there. Unless you're like one of the boys in the system. And I remember warning Tata Martino after they eliminated New York City FC, right, on their when he was going to go, when Atlanta won the championship. I spoke to him after the game, and when it was already, known that he was going to leave Atlanta after that season and he was going to go coach the national team. And I told him, I said, you are stepping into something that you don't understand what you're stepping into. And I had warned Juan Carlos Osorio, who was a Red Bulls coach, who also went and coached the Mexican national team.
So wait, let me get this straight. You're advising Tata Martino and Juan Carlos Osorio?
I told them. I put in my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. It's going to be a freaking nightmare. But he took it. Tata took the $8 million. Tata took the $8 million and put it.
You might have been right, but I'm sure
they didn't listen to me. I mean, that's their right.
I thought
probably did the smart thing, and he took his $8 million, and then they basically annihilated him in the press every single day on every show, on every channel for 4 freaking years. If you're into that, fine, go for it.
When New York City played San Luis, Patrick Vieira was the coach at the time, and then later that year, Dome Torrent replaced him. So there's connections. I like the synchronicity. Roberto, are you a believer in synchronicity? You know what that kind of is? Like it's kind of a thing, and some people have it more than others, and I do believe in it. My friend TJ Kostecki and I, we have this thing. But so last night, I'm going to explain to you how it works with me, because this happens all the time, it seems to me. And I think if you're more aware of it, it will happen more to you and in your life. So last night, my wife and I, Mary, we went to it was a Harry Chapin tribute concert. It's called the Chapin Family. Tom Chapin, his brother, Steve Chapin, his brother, his daughter, Tom Chapin's 2 daughters, and then the original band. And I talked to you a little bit about this Harry Chapin concert. So when I got in the car today to drive up to the training facility, right, I put on the soccer channel first. I wasn't interested in what they were talking about, so I clicked it off. I don't always stay with my channel. And I went to, I'd been listening to The Bridge channel on Sirius XM. And so I went to that Bridge was still kind of up for me. I went from the talk show to the Bridge. And it was right at the end of a Don Henley song. And the next song that comes up is Harry Chapin. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I mean, out of all, imagine the number of artists they have in their library to play on that channel. And I see him the night before. My wife cries for the entire performance because Harry Chapin was like her guy. That was more than anything. And his storytelling is unbelievable. But anyway, it was great. It was a great night. That's a great moment. I listened to the song. I had a tear in my eye as well. And that's my synchronicity story. But that happened.
It's very cool. Now, to answer your question, I believe in coincidence and math. That it's got to happen to somebody. And it happened to you.
Well, that's some math. They might
but I mean, look, there's 9 billion people in the world. It has to happen to somebody.
Okay. Okay. No,
that's my belief.
And at the same time, and right after I heard that, I called TJ, because TJ Kostecki, who I just interviewed for his book. Here's his book back there, Eyes Up. See it? Eyes Up.
Yeah.
And he's taught me vision training in soccer, the ability to scan and look and all the different things. We were doing that in the 80s when no one was talking about it. And he started it for me. And so I called him. I wanted to call him up and tell him about this synchronatic moment. I called him up and he just starts going, I was just talking to you about you with my daughter. So we had the moment again right there. So
there you go.
So that's I'm way off the mark now, but and if nobody found that interesting, sorry. I love it.
It's part of the package. It's part of the New York City FC Views package.
So the new MLS Canadian men's soccer coach, Jesse Marsh, the MLS Canadian men's soccer coach, on his CBS podcast. He does this podcast with Jimmy and I guess others come on with him. Jimmy Conrad. I was going to say Jimmy Connors. It's Jimmy Conrad. The quote, "My respect for U.S. soccer is big, but I went through a process with them," right? About being interviewed for the head job that Greg Berhalter eventually got. "And I'm not going to go into it, but I wasn't treated very well in the process. And so whatever, man, that's in the past now. That minute it was done. And I was like, okay, I'm moving forward and I'm going to figure out what's right for me. It motivated me again to find the right people."
There you go.
He's just
it almost seemed like they just basically wanted to interview people, and then they were going to get, if they could get Greg back, and everything calmed down and everything, washed over, they were going to get Greg back. And, he had the support of the dressing room. And I think that was a big part of the decision for U.S. soccer. I mean, if he had lost the dressing room, then, or they were ambivalent about it and they were like, yeah, if he comes back, fine. If he doesn't, fine. But he has a lot of support there. So,
well, there were some reports, Roberto, suggesting that Marsh was going to be offered the job, but the support, as you said, from the players of Greg Berhalter was so strong that was the final, and you essentially said that, but it also taking it another step.
Yeah.
They were ready to hire Marsh. That's a report. I don't know that. That's just a report I read. So who knows? We never know.
It's going to be very interesting. Look, Canada might be the second best team in CONCACAF right now behind the United States. Mexico, they're fighting Mexico to be the second best team in CONCACAF. Mexico has fallen to that point. And the reason that I can put Canada sort of ahead, because Canada went to Mexico during the last qualifying cycle, tied them, probably should have won. And then Canada took Mexico to Edmonton, and in the freezing cold, they beat them there. So, to me, it's going to be interesting. And look, as long as Canada grows, we hope Mexico grows. That will help the U.S. grow. It will help all the other teams in the area grow. And that's important because this area's got to grow. And that's how you're going to do it. And I'm happy that they're playing Copa America against all these teams in CONMEBOL, and that's going to help them grow as well. So it's good. All these things are good. It's positive for the area. It's positive for U.S. soccer.
All right, Roberto. Well, on this NYCFC Views live New York Knicks pregame show, if you are watching us live, the Knicks are going to tip off in about a half hour or so.
Yes.
So I'm going to be racing upstairs, get a little something to eat, and just sit back and watch the old Knicks. Well, I might be working on my charts a little bit too here, Roberto, because we got a game tomorrow night to broadcast.
We do have a game.
So Roberto and
Ariel,
Ariel,
a longer drive than I do.
I do. Roberto and Ariel will have their pregame live stream at 6 p.m. Maddie and I will have ours at 6:45 p.m. And then we both start our live commentary at 7:15 p.m. with our pregame show. I'll have Nick Cushing presented by Ford, and we'll go over a lot of different things. He talks about some of his lineup decisions, and we'll see how it all pans out against the Red Bulls, who are under a first-year coach and who has a pretty good lineage, Roberto. This guy, Sandro Schwartz, you know who else coached at Mainz? Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel, both of whom are out of work right now. So,
Tuchel didn't want to come back to Bayern Munich. They tried to convince him, and he didn't want to come back unless they had like this whole list of things, and I guess they didn't work it out. There's something I wanted to tell you. So New York City has opened up the fifth deck in Citi Field. This is the first time that they've done that. So for every game that New York City has played at Citi Field so far, the capacity has been limited to 23,500. For this game, it's going to be a lot more, somewhere close to 30, if not over 30. So the tickets have been going up and down. Right now, I'm taking a look, and there are tickets in the 300s now that have gone down to 38.61. Yesterday, when I was looking, the cheapest ticket was almost $46, and about 3-4 days ago, they were in like 25. So, prices have been going up and down. Here's hoping. The weather's going to be good. It's not going to be great. It's going to be overcast and like 63, 64 degrees or something like that.
It's at night.
Perfectly fine.
The sun's not going to be out anyway. It's a night game.
Yeah, but it's perfectly fine. And so we hope that, they sell as many tickets as possible, make that atmosphere lit.
Yeah.
And because I think the sound travels better in Citi Field than it does in Yankee Stadium, because it's a little bit tighter and, everything's the stands are a little bit closer to the field that they are in Yankee Stadium. So it's going to be a fun, loud atmosphere. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I really hope that they get 30,000 plus. Right now, the team is estimating that it's going to be 28,000. Hopefully, they're surprised and they get a bigger walk up than they think they're going to get.
Yeah.
And, they wind up selling 30,000 or more. And let's make it a huge event. Cool. Because it should be. And two good teams playing good soccer right now. And it should be a hell of a lot of fun. And it's a different Red Bull team. This isn't, the Red Bull teams that we've seen over the past years.
We'll
they
see.
play a whole different system now.
Well, we'll see it straight up and be describing it for everybody tomorrow. And first time that these two have met at Citi Field, so there's a little intrigue there. But there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game tomorrow. Of course, a lot of other games being played simultaneously. But if people have a choice, if there's anybody out there that just has the MLS Season Pass package and their team isn't on at that moment, or they're just MLS fans, I don't know how, I'd love to know how many people are just MLS fans and they just watch anybody. I don't think there's many, but I would love to know. I think this is a game that they'll strongly consider. That's for sure.
Well, any of the 10:30, game fans can turn in at 7:30 and pick a team. Like when I watch the NFL, I hate watching my team. I mean, that's like I'm not, and don't even dare say what it is. But I hate watching my team, and then I really enjoy watching, other teams in the NFL and other games that don't have my team that is playing. It's a different thing.
All right. I got 2 words. Go Jets. And that's not your team.
And it's not my team, but it's the team that I work for. That's the team that I call games for. And I hope that they have a great season. And by the way, did you see the Jets schedule? No. Oh my God. They got 6 primetime games in the first 2 months.
I guess they're hoping.
Nuts.
Well, I'm sure they're hoping Aaron Rodgers doesn't tear his Achilles 4 minutes into the first game. Or 4 plays, or whatever the hell.
4 plays, yes. Yeah. They do it by plays there. Yes. We hope that. I mean, they've got the Jets have a pretty decent team, and hopefully Aaron Rodgers is going to be healthy. If not, they got Tyrod Taylor, so they have a real quarterback as a backup this time.
All right. Well, happy National Endangered Species Day, everybody. We've been really happy to have you join us here tonight as we went through a lot of different things. We're on live every week. We did a bonus show here tonight because it's the Hudson River Derby, and we'll be back on again next week with you. But the show is always repeated and available on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, blah, blah, blah. All right, so for Roberto Abramowitz, I'm Glenn Crooks on NYCFC Views Live. Go Knicks.
Go New York, go.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.